The problem is we can get caught up on all these details. And the details have the power. And they don't, by themselves, they don't have the power, but they could become material that create confusion, turmoil, logismi. And it's important to know our history, but at the same time, we should know our history at multiple levels. It shouldn't be just the names and dates and the facts, but also the bigger perspective. The bigger perspective is that there's an ongoing war against the church, an ongoing war by the devil against the church, and his levers that he's using are our passions and our logismi. Our logismi. And so we have to rise above these and see what's really happening, step back, detach a little bit, and see what's really happening, and guard ourselves and see not necessarily the day and the time when the end comes, but know the times in general, and know what's really happening. And all these examples should bring us to greater sobriety. This is the most important thing for us. The most important lesson from recent church history is the need for sobriety, the need for self-knowledge, the need for repentance. And we have great examples of repentance, even in the recent times, the most recent current ecclesiastical events among us, in fact. And that's a very great consolation for us. And what the others say. I started saying something during my talk about sectarianism from our ranks. And Dr. Alibertis kind of fleshed out some of those examples. Sectarianism was a real temptation in the old calendar movement.
Please define it for the lay person.
Sectarianism is basically schisms, a proclivity to schism.
You said an individual, charismatic individual.
Yes. And the different types of schisms in our church can be categorized as people who are overcome by attacks from the right, that is zeal without knowledge, and they fixate on a fragment, on one fragment, and make it and confuse it for the whole. Another type of schism is a schism that follows a charismatic figure, so it's a personality cult. And a third type of schism that's happened in the old calendar church are the schisms that arise from the people who are fleeing ecclesiastical justice, fugitives of ecclesiastical justice. I think those are the three main categories.
And many times those three categories are combined. And I was just talking to somebody about basic, and I'm actually very happy to hear, Father Leonidas, you say a lot of the things that I've been saying. So that, the noetic, all that stuff is so important. The cleansing of the mind, the logismi. Because, as I say, what happens is we process information according to our fallen state. And so there's a whole process which needs to be fixed. And our passions get in the way, so sometimes we it's like, when a computer downloads information, we download certain information, and sometimes we're not really getting it the way that we should be getting it. So maybe this is actually a wrong term to say charismatic figures, but if you put it into modern language, yes, I mean, charismatic in terms, not true charismata, but people who are
fake,
proud, people who are very proud. And you cannot set up shop and call it the church. It's not your personal franchise. And so certain people think that they can do that. They've gone not a little too far, very far. And that's one of the things that I was mentioning from the time I first became a bishop, is that unity in the church is actually a dogma. It's like the beginning. And Metropolitan Moses talked about love. There's no love in these divisions. You look at the spirit of these people, and sometimes the new calendars point out, rightfully, the side fringe groups, you can tell from the spirit, certain basic things that we would learn as monastics, for example, but also lay people should know. A monastic knows that for things to go well, you have to get a blessing, right? If you get a blessing, it'll go well. Well, of course, it follows in ecclesiastical everyday life. The priest must receive the blessing from the bishop for certain things. And we have the phenomenon of people calling themselves autocephalous because they don't like getting blessings. So it's like, I bless myself. I'm an independent church. Quicksand. It's not going to last. It's going to fall apart. And even when it does fall apart, they're still going, saying, oh, look, we're okay. No. The city has fallen. And so we have to be able to understand these basic concepts. We are in the faith, we are in the church, for what reason? So that we can be sanctified. We don't get stuck just in the details of, like Father Leonidas said, Bishop so-and-so did this in whatever, 1953 or whatever, like one of the accusations. Oh, horror, right? Archbishop Chrysostomos Kyusas did not fulfill his epitemion because he went to Jerusalem and concelebrated in 1950, whatever it was, 1957, whatever, 55. Jerusalem, of course, Rokor, there was a lot of... Jerusalem obviously had certain sympathies towards the true Orthodox, towards the genuine Orthodox for a long time. It seems like up until now, actually, up until Irenaeus, there were at least some type of sympathetic feelings, let's say. But that's not my point. My point is that if he went there and concelebrated, this is, manipulating the facts. Obviously, he became a bishop by the same synod that probably forgave him for the epitemion. I mean, how can you be ordained a bishop by the synod if you're not forgiven the epitemion? But what's the point of the epitemion? He could have, we don't have the details, he could have expressed his case. And these are the reasons that are pointed out. It's like, have you heard of the saying, a beam and a mote? So you have so many more serious things to worry about than this 1956, whatever it was, epitemion, which, who knows even if it was true.